Hi there everybody, I hope you're all staying safe and all your families are managing to stay safe as well. And today's recipe we're going to be covering vegetable couscous. Once again, it's another quite simple recipe, it's another cheap recipe. It's another recipe you can make cheaper by using the frozen ingredients that I've shown you here in substitute of fresh. If you've got fresh it does taste nicer, but as I've explained before, I'm using these sort of ingredients just to demonstrate they can be used, because in times of Brexit where stuff is hard to get, in times of the pandemic where things are hard to get, there's options out there to allow you to still make the same stuff with just slightly tweaking as to how you've sourced the actual ingredients. One other thing that can suggest that you can change in this is, as much as we're using fennel, if you need to, you can use leeks. They're not exactly the same, but I've certainly found it a bit difficult to get fennel bulbs every now and again over the course of this pandemic, so if you can't get your fennel, substitute in a really nice big leek instead. It's a slightly different dish, it's also a lovely dish, so try both anyway, but otherwise let's crack on and make this. So as always, the very first thing we're looking to do is prep and prepare all of our ingredients. So first up we're looking for between 250 and 300 grams of carrots, which we're going to peel. We're then going to slice down their length, slice down the length again, and chop to between 6 and 8 millimeter slices. And next up we want to prepare our fennel. Now if you've got medium sort of size bulbs and that's all you can get hold of, like you see here, we're going to be using 2 of them. If you can find a larger bulb, then obviously just the one is absolutely fine. So the first thing we do is remove all the leafy green areas and the stalk areas that we don't like the look of. Some of the stalks absolutely fine to leave behind. We then want to half it, and then we're going to peel off any outer layers, or use an actual peeler just to slice off any outer layers of the skin that looks too tough, too hard, too dry. And then all we do is progress on as if it is like an onion. So we're going to slice towards the root but without cutting entirely through. And once we've got that sliced down in one direction, we're going to cut perpendicular so we get nice chopped bits of fennel. And again, same idea but from a different angle, just like I've shown you with onion on other videos. We're cutting towards the root system, but we don't want to cut all the way through. We want to leave it just connected and no more. And then we take and we cut at a 90 degrees angle to those cuts, and that gives us our chops. The finer the cuts we make, the finer the chopped fennel. It depends on the size you want your mouthpieces once you went through it. And then we can move on to prepare our onion. Now this is a cannonball onion, as I've explained in other videos. I don't know if that's an actual proper name, but it's one that I came across, I believe, as I've said before, in my local supermarket. Yet I don't see them named that way anymore. But what it sums up to is one absolutely humongous onion, hence cannonball. So you're either using a cannonball onion or you're using 2 large onions, depending on what you can lay your hands on for this dish. Again, cut it off at the top, half your onion, peel away the skin. If there's any of the skin at all that's not nice, just get rid of it. Want nice soft supple onion slices here. We're then going to cut towards the root, just the same way as we did with the leek, and then cut at a 90 degrees angle so we'll get lovely chopped onion. And when it comes to the courgette, we're looking for between 225 and 250 grams. There or thereabouts is the sort of ballpark we're looking for. It's a live produce, so there's always going to be some variation. That's roughly what we're looking for. We're going to top and tail it by taking off both ends, and then we're going to slice it along its length, and then just like the carrots, we're going to slice it along its length once again. And then we're going to chop it down into 6 to 8 millimeter slices. As I mentioned in the intro, you've got an option here. You can either use fresh garlic, and for that you'll be using 2 cloves, or you can use these crushed frozen garlic blocks. As I said, it's not just as flavoursome, it still works really well, but the fresh garlic will give you a slight hint of more garlic flavour. But these work perfectly well if you're struggling to get hold of garlic due to various circumstances, or if you want to save a little bit of money. These do save just a little bit on your dish, and every penny counts. And next up, we should prepare our coriander. We're looking for half a tablespoon of ground coriander, which again you can set aside in a wee ramekin until you're ready to use it. Now possibly the easiest bit of preparation, take the lid off your can of tomatoes. And for our seasoning, we're going to measure 1 teaspoon of salt into a ramekin. And then into the exact same ramekin, we're going to add half a teaspoon of ground black pepper. For our garnish, we're going to prepare 1 tablespoon of dried parsley, which again we can just set aside in a ramekin until the dish is cooked, and then we're ready to go. And now that we're mostly there, we should also get our couscous measured out. We're looking for 225 grams of couscous. And to save you some dishes, you may as well stick it in one of your serving plates because it's a dried dish anyway. So what your food's going to be going, measure it into that. And because we are just about ready to start cooking, it's time to measure out our butter, which is 15 grams. I'm using vegan butter moving forward rather than dairy butter. A, because of various intolerances in the house, the wife struggles with dairy products, but B, vegan is where we try to head because it is better for the planet as well. It's not just dietary concerns, there is also a little bit of a conscious choice as well in this. And this vegan butter here from Flora performs exactly the same as dairy. And as we are in the final stages of preparation, we're going to add 300 millilitres of water into a small-ish pot. Probably not your smallest pot, but close to your smallest pot. And 2 tablespoons of olive oil, to which is almost certainly your largest pot if you've got a set of pots. Because the vegetable mixture will take up a lot of room once we've started cooking it. So 2 tablespoons olive oil, largest pot. And now we are looking to bring our oil up to heat. We're looking for a medium-high heat. So the 2 ways of checking is look for that shimmer, that heat dispersion that you see running through the oil. That will let you know you're getting close to cooking temperature. Then drop a couple of little bits of onion in. If they sizzle and give a good nice sizzle coming off them, you're at temperature and we can get our vegetable mixture added to the pot at that point. Once added, we're going to cook it for 10 minutes. At that medium-high heat. You may need to stir it occasionally, but we are going to cover it to sweat it down, but very, very occasionally just go in, give it a wee swirl around over that 10 minutes. We don't want any sticking happening to the bottom of the pot. When the 10 minutes is close to being over, we're going to bring our small pot of 300 millilitres of water up to the boil. Once it reaches the boil, we're going to immediately take it off the heat and add our couscous. Give it a quick wee swirl around with a spatula, and then we're going to leave it alone for 2 minutes. And now that the 10 minutes are over, we can take and we can add our garlic, our ground coriander, and then our chopped tomatoes. Give that a good mix together, then add the courgettes and mix together again. We are then going to cook this for 5 minutes. If at any point you notice any sticking of the vegetable mix to the bottom of your pan, we're going to add a little bit of water. Generally 2 tablespoons of water solves the problem entirely. You might get away with 1 tablespoon, but 2 tablespoons won't harm it, so I always go with the 2 tablespoons. And whilst our vegetable mixture is in its last 5 minutes, our couscous should now be ready to have the butter and the seasoning added to it. So again, we're just going to put the butter in, give it a good mix around, and same with the seasoning. Stir it all together, mix it all well till that butter melts right through the couscous. You need to have your hob on the lowest heat at this point, or again, this will stick to the bottom of the pan just like the vegetable mixture may want to do as well if you don't have enough water in it. So couscous, lowest heat, mix it all together, looking for the butter to mix in, and then keep stirring it for those last 2-3 minutes. You can't stress it enough, hence why I'm just showing you a little bit more footage of it. Stir both pots so we prevent sticking. I've been lazy in the past, I've not stirred it during those last 5 minutes, and we end up with either vegetable mixture or couscous just adhering to the bottom of the pot. We don't want to waste any of either, so nice stirring, go from one, go to the other, keep it moving. You'll feel the vegetable mixture. If it's stirring, you add 2 tablespoons of water, which you saw in a little bit of earlier footage. Your couscous, if it's at the lowest heat on your hob, it won't stick as long as you're stirring it. But
If it's at the lowest heat and you still don't stir it, there is that chance some of it would adhere at the bottom of the pot, and then you've wasted a little bit of your dinner. You've just spent some time preparing. So don't do it. Stir it. And now that our dish is ready, we're going to serve our vegetable mixture on a bed of couscous, and then we're going to garnish it with our parsley.
So, once again, yet another simple, easy to make. This time it's not sliding out the bowl. Not starting to go. Another simple, easy to make, dead cheap recipe. Hopefully you give it a wee try. Let's have a wee taste then. So this makes 6 portions. I've realised I haven't told you how many portions a lot of the stuff makes. It's a nice blending of the various different vegetables in there. It's quite subtle across all the flavours. The one that you do notice a little bit more is the, oh god, I forgot the name of it, the fennel. And as I've said, if you're struggling for fennel, because I've noticed I have struggled to get fennel bulbs over the last year, year and a half, 2 years, the length of time the pandemic's been running, you can substitute it. And as I've said already, the substitute is leek for cooked fennel. It's not exactly the same dish, it's a very similar dish, similar rounded flavours, but it is a slight difference, so you can make both and have 2 different recipes on the go. So anyway, I'm off to enjoy my dinner. Take care folks, thanks for watching, stay safe.